So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how you can create a goal tracker in Notion. So this tutorial will be a step-by-step guide in how you can create this goal tracker, but firstly I'm just going to give you a tour of the tracker so you can understand how it works. So up here we have the current goals. So as you can see on this tab we have these cards which give a brief overview of your goal. So it just gives information like when the deadline is for your goal, which quarter of the year you want to achieve that goal in, type of goal, and I've also set up this little progress bar so it will show you how far along you are in completing that goal. I also have a by quarter tab, so this just shows the goals filtered by the quarter of the year that you want to achieve that goal. You can easily change this to months if you would prefer to do monthly goals rather than quarterly goals, and when we actually go through the step-by-step tutorial on how to create this, I'll show you how you can change this for months instead of quarters. And then I also have this add new goal tab, so this just brings up all of your goals in a list format so you can add new ones or you can change some of the details here, like if you wanted to change the quarter or the deadline for this goal, you can easily do that here. If I just scroll down, we then have the current tasks section. So this is what makes up these little progress bars here. So for each individual goal, they will come up here as a column, and in that column you can add all of the tasks that you need to do to be able to achieve that goal. So just as an example, I have this one which is get fluent in Spanish. So for this goal, I'm going to write down here all of the different tasks that I need to do to be able to get fluent in Spanish. So as an example, we've got a complete Spanish grammar book, attend 100 italki lessons, and so on. So this will be filtered by goal, so you'll have a list of tasks for each different goal. So that is the tasks overview tab. I also have the edit task tab, which is where you can actually write and edit these goals. So if I just click on that, so I'm just going to open the toggle for get fluent in Spanish. So that will bring up this little table which has all of the tasks that I need to do to get fluent in Spanish. So what you would do is you'd add your task to this list. You'd firstly select the type of task. So in here I've got 3 different types of tasks: a result, a habit, or a task. So a result would be something that is easily measurable. So for example, this one, complete Spanish grammar book, I've put as a result because it's something that I can measure quite easily. A habit is more something that you want to naturally do every single day. So for example, read a page every day, and that would be a habit. Could be something like write in your journal every day. Again, that would be a habit. It's just something that you want to start doing every single day. And then I also have the task category. So this one is less measurable than a result. So it's more just an individual task that you need to do. So it might be doing a particular grammar exercise or attending a talk or a seminar or something like that that is not necessarily result based. It's just a task that you need to do. And then here I have 2 different columns which are current and target. So I really find it helpful to be able to measure how far along I am in completing the tasks. So for example, completing this Spanish grammar book, obviously it's going to take me a while to finish an entire book, but I want to be able to measure how far along I am in completing that task. So in the target column, that's obviously where we're going to put the target amount. So for something like complete Spanish grammar book, you might want to split it up into, let's say, chapters or study sessions. So for this one, I've put 10. So let's just say there are 10 chapters in my Spanish book. So I'm going to put 10 here. And then as I go along, I can update the current column to reflect how far along I am in the book. So let's just say I've read 1 chapter, I would put 1. And then this little progress bar here will calculate how far along I am in finishing the book. So then after my next session, I can change it to 2, and it's now calculating that I'm 20% of the way towards finishing. So you can do that with all of your tasks. That's why I really like putting results in here, because it's easily measurable and you can see how far along you are in achieving it. So for habits, so for example here I've got read a page every day. So for something like that, I would tend to put how many days that I want to do that. So for example, if I wanted to read a page every day for 3 months, that would be 90 days. So I've put in 90. So every time that I complete the habit, I can add in here how many times I've done it. So let's say I've done it for 1 month, I can put 30 and it will show me how far along I am in doing it for 3 months. Similarly, this one, learn 100 words. So I want to learn 100 words. So I've put the target as 100. So when I've learned 50, I can update it to 50 and so on. This one is to pass a Spanish exam. For that one, I've just put 1 because there is just 1 Spanish exam that I need to pass. That is the target. So before I've passed, I can leave it at 0. And after I've got the result, I can change it to 1 and this progress bar goes to 100%. So that is how the tasks work. And once you've completed the task as well, you can tick it off here and it will disappear. So as you can see, I passed that Spanish exam, I ticked the box and the task has now disappeared. Another thing that I love about this goal tracker is these progress bars will also feed into this progress bar up here. So essentially this progress bar is going to take an average of all of these progress bars, so it'll show you how far along you are in achieving this goal. So that's again another really handy way to see how far along you are in getting fluent in Spanish. Is based on the tasks that I've completed and how far along I am in completing them. So let's just change this one. Let's say I've now read 6, and as you can see, this progress bar just updated, and so did this one. Okay, so after you've added all of these tasks on here, you can go back to the task overview, and if you remember, this just gives you an overview of all of the tasks and how far along you are in completing them. Okay, and then the final thing that I want to show you is the completed goals section. So if I just head back up here to my goals, so let's just say that my Get Fluent in Spanish goal I've now achieved. I can come on here and click this little complete button. So if I tick that and go back here, as you can see, our Learn Spanish has now disappeared. If I scroll down to our completed goals, it now appears here. This is just a handy little place where you can keep track of all of the goals that you have actually completed. So that is a goal tracker. So the next thing I'm going to do is show you step by step how you can set this up for yourself. The first thing I'm going to do is type in / call out and select this call out block. So I'm just going to give our goals section a title. So I'm going to start with our current goals, and I'm just going to make that bold, and I'm just going to change this as well to a target icon like this. So we're going to start with the current goals. So next I'm going to type in / database and select database in line. And I'm just going to give that a title. So I'm just going to call it goals. I'm just adding the one just to make it different from my previous example, but you can just call it goals. And I'm just going to click on the 3 little dots and hide the title. So I'm just going to click on here and click rename. And I'm just going to name this one add new goal, because this is going to be the tab where we add a new goal. And I'm just going to change this icon to this symbol here. And then I'm just going to right click on this tags column and just hit delete because we don't need that. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is just add a goal just so that we have something to work with. So let's stick with that Get Fluent in Spanish goal. I'm also just going to delete these 2 rows here as well because I'm just going to stick with the one for now. So the first thing we're going to do is add another property by clicking on this plus icon here, and we're going to add a select property. So I'm going to type in select and click on this select block. I'm going to rename this one quarter. So this is going to be where we select which quarter of the year we want to achieve this goal. Feel free to change this to month if you would rather do it monthly, and you just need to add the options accordingly. So I'm going to stick with quarter for now. So the options I'm going to add are obviously Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. As I said, if you would prefer to do a monthly goal tracker, you would name this one month and just add all of the months of the year into here rather than the quarters. I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller, and for this one, I'm just going to select Q4. Next, I'm going to add another property, so I'm just going to click on the plus, and this one is going to be another select. So type in select and click here. And this one is going to be year, so I'm just going to type in year, and for the options I'm just going to add a few different options. So I'm just going to add the next few years. I'm just going to add a few. I can easily add more later. So this is where we're going to obviously select which year this goal is for. So I'm just going to stick with 2023 for this one. Next, we're going to add another property. So clicking on this plus, and this one is going to be a date property. So I'm going to select date. And this one is going to be our deadline. So I'm just going to label it deadline. So this is essentially when the deadline for the goal is. So this one is Q4. So it would be somewhere within Q4. So I think for this one, I'm just going to pick a date in December. Let's just put the end of December. I'm next going to add another property. And this one again is going to be a select property. This one is going to be our categories. So I like to have a category for the different types of goals so you can easily filter between personal goals, work goals, fitness goals, finance goals, whatever you have. So I'm going to label this one category, and I'm going to add a few options. So you might have, for example, as I said, business, personal. Okay, so I've added my categories. So these are the ones that I've added in. Feel free to create your own category list. So for this one, I'm going to select it's an education goal. Okay, and then there's just one more thing we need to add to this. I'm just going to add one last property, and it's going to be a checkbox. So type in checkbox and select this. And this one I'm just going to label as complete. So this is just a way for us to tick off when we've actually completed this goal. And I'm just going to make that a little smaller so you can just see the box. Okay, so that is our basic goals database. So the next thing that I want to do is add in our tasks. So let's add another / call out so I can give it a heading. And this is going to be our current tasks. So I'm just going to write that in. I'm going to bold it, and I'm just going to change this icon as well. And then I'm going to type in / database, select database in line. And I'm just going to give it a name. I'm just going to call this one tasks. And again, I'm just going to hide the database title. So again, I'm just going to click on here, click rename, and this one is going to be the edit tasks tab. So I'm going to name it edit tasks, and I'll just change this icon as well. Again, I'm just going to delete these 2 rows, and I'm also going to just delete the tags column as well. Okay, so currently we just have this one goal of get fluent in Spanish. So the first thing I'm going to do is just add a task for this one. So let's just say I want to attend 5 Spanish lessons. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is add another property, and this one is going to be another select. And this one is going to be the type. So this is where I'm going to select what type of task is it. So if you remember, the different options were a result, a habit, or a task. Again, feel free to make your own categories up here if there's a different way that you'd prefer to do it, but I'm just going to keep these 3 for now. So this one is quite easily measurable, so I'm just going to put it as a result. Next, I'm going to add another property, and this one is going to be a number. So I'm going to select this number property. And this one is going to be our actual, so how far along I actually am in completing this task. Then I'm just going to add another number. And this one is going to be our target. So that's what I'm going to name it. That will be the target amount. So just make these a little smaller. So for this one, it's quite easily measurable. I want to attend 5 classes. So my target is going to be 5. And let's just say I've not attended any yet. So I'm just going to leave it as 0. Next, we're going to create the progress bar. So if you remember before, we had a progress bar that shows me how far along I am in completing this task. So let's add that now. So we're going to add a formula. So I'm going to type in formula and select formula. So this one is going to be our progress. And next I want to click on this formula edit button here, and that's going to bring up this little box, which is where I actually type in my formula. So on this box, you'll see under properties, this has the current properties in the table. So I'm going to click on our actual number, and we're going to divide that by putting in this / icon by the target. So that is our basic formula. The only problem with it is that it will bring up a really long number with lots of decimal points. So to get rid of that, we are going to add a round function. So I'm just going to put some parentheses around this just to isolate it. And then at the start, I'm going to type in round, open parentheses, 100 and multiply. So for multiply, I'm just using this little star icon here. I'm then just going to add another parentheses at the end to close off that function. And then I am just going to divide again. So divide with that / and we'll divide by 100. So that is the formula. So once you've typed that in, you just want to click done. So now if we look at our progress here, it is coming up with 0. So that would be correct, seeing as I've gone to none of my lessons. So we just want to change this to a percentage. So I'm going to click on number format and click on percent. So now it's saying 0%. And finally, I'm just going to click on bar here so that we actually get a progress bar. So now let's just say that I've been to 2 of my lessons. As you can see, I'm now 40% of the way there, which is perfect. So it's working properly. Finally, I'm just going to add a little checkbox so that once this is complete, we can tick it off and it will disappear from the list. So I'm going to add one more property, which is checkbox, and I'll just label that one complete. And again, I'm just going to pull the sides in a bit so you can just see the checkbox. So the next thing I want to do is connect these 2 databases together. So if you remember in the goals database, we had a progress bar that will show us how far along we are in achieving our overall goal. So that would take an average of all the progress bars in the task list. So firstly, I'm just going to add a few more tasks just so we have something to work with. Okay, so I've just added another couple of tasks here. So in order to connect these 2 databases together, we can use a relation property, which essentially just relates the 2 together. So on our goals database, I'm just going to click on the plus button to add a new property, and we're going to type in relation, and I'm going to select this. It's just going to ask me which database I want to relate this to. So this is our goals database. So I want to relate it to our tasks database. So I'm going to select that database. It's then going to tell me that I've correctly related it to tasks. So you just want to double check here that you've clicked on the correct database. Next, you want to make sure the limit is set to no limit. So I don't want there to be any sorts of limits on here. I want to be able to add as many goals and as many tasks as I want. So keep it as no limit. And then it's going to ask me if I also want to show this on my tasks database. So in this case, I do. So I'm just going to select that and turn it on. And then you want to click add relation. So as you can see on our goals database, we now have this new column which says tasks, and down on the tasks database, we now have a column that says goals. So that's great. That now shows that these 2 databases are correctly linked together. So down on our task database, I am just going to click on this and change the name just to goal. So this column is going to allow me to select which goal this task is for. So these ones are currently for the Get Fluent in Spanish goals. That's the one I'm going to select. And once I click that, it will appear here. And if I look up here under our task column, it's now bringing up the Attend 5 Spanish Lessons task next to Get Fluent in Spanish. So eventually, once you've got many different goals that you're working towards, this will show a list of all the different goals that are in your goals database. So you'll just select which one you want to relate it to. So I'm just going to select the Spanish goal for all of these. So once I've done that, they are all appearing here, which is great. So on our goals database, I'm just going to right click on this and click hide because it's not actually something we need to see. It's just there working in the background. So next I want to pull through these progress bars into our goals database. So to do that, we can use a roll up property. So a roll up property essentially just allows you to pull data from other databases. So I'm just going to select a new property and type in roll up and select this roll up property. And this one is going to be our progress. So firstly, it's going to ask me which relation I want to use. So in this case, I want to use our tasks database because that's where the data is that I want to select from. Next, it will ask me which property I want to pull through. So in this case, I want to pull through the progress bars. So I'm going to select that. And then it will ask me what I want to calculate. So in this case, I want to calculate the average. So I'm going to select average. And then I'm finally just going to select bar so that it shows up as a progress bar. So as you can see here now in our goals database, we now have our progress column and it is pulling through the average of all of the progress bars in our task database. That's perfect. I am going to hide the progress bar in this view because it's not something I want to display on this view, but I do want to display it on the front page, which we're going to set up now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on add new goal and click duplicate. And I want this one to be the overview of all the goals. So I'm going to type in all goals and I'm just going to change this icon to a target. And I'm just going to put that to the front. So next I want to change this into a gallery view rather than table. So I'm just going to click on these three little dots, click layout and select gallery. And firstly, I want to get rid of these white spaces on the card. So I'm just going to click on card preview and select none. So this gallery view will now bring up all of our goals, but I do want to show a little bit more data on these cards. So again, I'm going to click on the three little dots and click on properties. So this is going to bring up a list of all of those different columns that we had in that table. So I'm now going to select which ones I want to display on the card. So I think we're going to display the quarter so I know when that goal is due for, the exact deadline, the progress bar, and I think we'll select the category as well. So you just want to click on this little icon here to unhide the properties. You can then play around with the order, so I think I'm just going to put the progress bar at the bottom. And then as you can see, we now have this card which gives us a really nice overview of our goals. Now the next thing that I'm going to add to both of these is a filter. So I'm going to click on filter and firstly I'm going to filter by this complete checkbox. So I only want this database to show goals that are currently uncompleted. So once the checkbox is checked, I want them to disappear. So I'm going to filter by when the complete is unchecked. So therefore it's only going to show the goals where I've not ticked that checkbox. So I'm also going to add that to this add new goal, filter by complete and is unchecked. And on our all goals tab, I am also just going to add a filter for the year. So I only want to show current goals for the current year. So I'm going to select year and select 2023. You just need to remember that at the end of the year, you will want to change this to 2024 to see the current year goals. And the final thing I want to add on here is one more tab for by quarter. So I want to be able to filter these by quarter. So I'm going to right click on all goals and click duplicate. And this one I'm going to name by quarter. Next, I'm going to click on layout and instead of this gallery view, I'm going to click on board view. And I'm just going to select this color columns as well. So as you can see, that's now bringing up this board view where it will bring up a list of all my goals filtered by the quarter. As I said, if you've done this by month instead, it will just show a column for each month of the year and show a list of the goals filtered by month. I'm just going to scroll over to the end where it says no quarter. So it will always come up automatically with a category for anything that you've not selected a quarter for. So in this case, we will have filled this in for every goal. So I'm just going to click hide on that one. And I'm just going to move that one here so it's next to the all goals one. So that is our current goals all set up. So I just want to now set up some more tabs for our current tasks. So I am just quickly going to add another goal just so I can show you how we can filter the tasks by goals. Okay, so I have just added another goal. So I've just added this save $10,000 goal and under our tasks list, I've added a task of saving $1,250 every single month. And I've currently saved $2,500. So I'm 25% of the way there. So as you can see under this goal column, for this one, I have selected the goal of save 10K. So the next thing I want to do on this task list is filter this by the different goals. So I want to make it easy to see the tasks for each different goal. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on these three little dots here and where it says group, it currently says none. So I'm going to click on there and it's going to ask me what I want to group them by. So in this case, I want to group them by goal. So I'm going to select goal. So as you can see, see it's now grouping these by the goal. I am just going to select this hide empty groups and just toggle that on because I don't want to see the empty groups. So now we have these little toggles that you can toggle either open or close. So when you open it, it will show the list of the tasks, and these tasks are specific to this goal. One of the great things that I love about this is now that if I add another task, as you can see, it automatically relates this task to the Get Fluent in Spanish goal. So I no longer need to select that in this column. So for that reason, I'm now just going to hide this column because we don't need to select that anymore. I am also just going to add a filter on here. So once this task is complete, I want to be able to tick this checkbox and I want it to disappear so that I know that it's done. So I'm just going to add a filter by the complete checkbox. And again, you want it to say complete is unchecked. So it's only going to bring up the tasks that are unchecked. Next, I want to create a tasks overview. So I want just one page where I can see all of my current tasks filtered by the goal. So what I'm going to do is click on this plus icon here, and I'm going to label this one all tasks, and I'm just going to change the icon as well. So in this one, I'm going to select a board view. So it's automatically bringing up all my tasks filtered by the type of task. So that's not what I want. I want them to be filtered by the goal. So where it says group by here, I'm going to click on that and click again on group by, and it's going to ask me what I want to group them by. So in this case, we're going to click goal. So as you can see, they are now filtered by goal. Again, I'm going to select this color columns just so it adds some color. And I'm also going to select hide empty groups so we don't get any empty groups on here. I'm also just going to click on these three dots and just hide the title. And I also just want to show the progress bar on these little cards so that I can see how far along I am in each task. So to do that, we're going to click on these three little dots, click on properties, and here are all the properties in the table. So I want this progress bar to show. So I'm just going to click on this little icon here. And as you can see, they now appear on the cards. The next thing we're going to do is just to make this look a little bit better, I want to add some icons. So instead of having this little page here, I want to add a few more icons. So I'm going to show you how you can do that automatically so you don't have to ever add these icons. You can add them once and it will automatically add it to every new goal or task. So let's go over to our current goals. So you want to make sure you're on this add new goal tab, and where it says new, I'm just going to click on this little arrow here and we're going to add a new template. I'm going to leave the title blank because that's just going to be the name of the goal. So I'm going to put that in when I actually set the goal, but where it says add icon, I'm just going to click on there, click on icons, and for this one I'm just going to add this target. So that's all you're going to do, just add the target because that's all I want to appear. So back on the goal tracker, I'm just going to click on this little arrow again, and here is our little target icon. So I'm just going to click on these three little dots and click set as default. You want to then click for all views. So now I've set this as default. That means this is the default template. So anytime that I add a new goal, it will add that icon as the icon. So I'm just going to quickly go on the ones that I've already created and add it. So if I just go on here and click open, it's just going to bring up my Get Fluent in Spanish goal. Here is the template we've just created. So I'm just going to click on that and it is just going to add that goal icon. I'm just going to do the same for this goal. Now, the great thing about this is because we've set it as the default, if I add another goal here, so let's just say get fit, as you can see, it's automatically adding that target icon every single time. And if I now go down to my current tasks, as you can see, it's got the little icon here. So it just looks a little better than it did before. And they should also show up on here as well. I also want to do the same thing for all of the tasks. So every time we add a new task, I want a little icon to show next to it. So again, I'm just going to click on this little button here and add a new template. Again, click add icon. I think for this one, I'm going to pick this check mark. Okay, and that's all we're going to add. Again, we're not going to add a title because that will be the name of the task. So we'll select that when we're actually adding a new task. Click back. So now I'm going to click again on this little arrow, and we are now going to set this untitled one as our default. So that's the one with the check mark, and for all views. And now just going to click on our edit tasks tab because that shows all of our tasks. And for these ones, I'm just going to open them up and just select that template so that the check mark now appears next to it. Okay, so as I said, this one works the same as the goal. So if I add a new task here, let's just say I want to pass Spanish exam. If I then click off of here, it does automatically add that check mark. And if I go to my all tasks tab, as you can see, it now appears with the check mark. So it just looks a little bit better than it did before. And I'm also just going to add the checkbox filter to this all tasks view as well. So I'm just going to click on filter, complete, and complete is unchecked just so that whenever a task has been completed, it is removed from our list of tasks. Another thing that I just want to go over is that whenever you add a new goal, so if you remember a minute ago, I just added this get fit goal. When you go down to your current task list, it doesn't automatically come up under your task list. So as you can see, it's not currently added here. So after I've added it to my goals database, I can click on add a group and it will then bring up all of the goals that I have in the database. So as you can see, our get fit goal has appeared. So if I just click on that, it will now add it as another row and I can then add in my tasks. So let's just say that I want to attend 10 Pilates classes, and then it works just the same from there. Okay, and then the final thing that I just want to add is the completed goals section at the bottom. So I'm just going to add another call out, and this one is going to be our completed goals. I'm just going to highlight that and bold it. And I'm just going to change the icon as well. So for this one, I'm going to select the target with the arrow in it to show that it's a completed goal. So for this one, we want to use the same database as the goals. I don't want to create a separate database because I just want to show the goals in here that I have completed. So you're going to type in /view, and then we're going to select the gallery view. It's then going to ask me which database I want to load a gallery view for. So in this case, it will be our goals database. It'll then ask me if I want to copy an existing view. So for this one, I'm just going to copy the all goals view. So this will bring up all of the different properties that we had on the other view. So in this one, I don't need quite as many details. So I'm just going to click on properties. I think for this one, we don't need the progress bar because these are the completed goals. So these would be at 100%. And I also don't need the deadline again, because these are completed goals. I don't really need to see the deadline. I'm also going to remove the quarter and instead I'm going to add in the year. So this is going to serve as a long-term database where you can see all of the goals that you've completed over time. So I feel like it would be better to show the year and the category. And I'm just going to rearrange these and put the year first. The only other thing we need to do is filter it by the completed goals. So this is currently bringing up all of the goals. These ones aren't actually completed. So I'm going to click on filter. So this one has copied the filters from the all goals view in our main database. So firstly, I'm just going to remove this year filter because I want this to show all of the goals that we've completed. So I don't want to show a particular year. So I'm just going to click on these three little dots and click delete filter. So next, it's also bringing up the filter where we filtered by anything that is unchecked. So in this case, I only want it to show the goals where the checkbox is checked. So I'm going to change it to checked. So as you can see, after I've done that, it's removed all of the goals because I don't currently have any checked. So let's just go back up here and check one. So let's just say that I complete my fluent in Spanish goal. So I'm going to click on here and complete the checkbox. If I then just scroll down, as you can see, it's now come up in our completed goals. And I'm just going to rename the all goals to completed goals. And I'll just change this icon as well to the same target with the arrow. And that is essentially it. So that is the goal tracker that I've created. I personally think that this goal tracker is a great way to achieve your goals because you can create these kind of overarching big goals like get fluent in Spanish and break them down into smaller, more achievable tasks. And you can also monitor your actual progress in each individual task and the overall goal as well. So if you did find this video useful, please like and subscribe, and you can also check out my pre-made Notion templates on my Etsy store, and the link will be in the description box below.